Doing there, folks. Danny Boy here, Project Jeb. So this is the fifth walk for Project Jeb. Let's talk a little bit about my advocacy and what I do. Okay, so first I'm going to talk a little bit about how I talk about this one men's issue, male suicide, to strangers, individuals who I happen to bump into on the road when I do these walks. So let's start off. Men make up 75 to 80% of all suicides. In Canada, that ticks out to about 9 men a day and 3 women. My heart goes out to each and every community and family that loses somebody to this god-awful thing. It is horrible to go through. The government of Canada has known these numbers for quite some time, and the response to that has been to generate 11 discussion papers for women's mental health on the Canadian Mental Health Association's website. Awesome. Keep up the good work. Great work. 1 discussion paper for men's mental health. Now there is one that spans both, so I kind of knocked that one out. So I'm going to hammer home those numbers again. 1 discussion paper for men, who make up 75% of all suicides in Canada, over 75%, and 11 discussion papers for women. Aren't Canada's sons worth as much as its daughters? Now I'm not asking you for money, I'm asking you for something far more powerful. I'm asking for your voice. I'm asking you to call your politician. Call them dirty names if you want. It can be fun. It can be therapeutic. But call them and tell them you want them to know that Canada's sons are worth as much as their daughters, and that their mental health matters as much as Canada's daughters' mental health. Now, men face issues from womb to tomb. And if you'd like to talk about those issues more, I can elaborate. However, I only ask you to become a Jedi warrior. Become a force for good. Raise awareness about men's mental health. Become that Jedi warrior. Thank you very much for your time. And from there, usually people are receptive and inquiring, and they will ask questions, and I will answer those questions. So that's basically how I do my advocacy. And it's fairly straightforward. And it's pretty successful. I've had organizations like Walmart help out, Home Hardware, Canadian Tires, mom and pops organizations who just, restaurants that give me free meals and things like that, just for, the advocacy that I do. And I'm an MRA. Apparently I'm the devil himself. Me and Beelzebub and Luke, we're all one and the same, apparently. So that's just basically how I do Project Jeb advocacy, and it's very straightforward and very simple and highly effective. I don't know, folks like to kind of like the phrasing, the way I phrase things. Which leads me to my second point here, or the other part of the video. I'm going to tell you what Project Jeb's going to do this year, and also what Project Jeb has recently accomplished and what I figure is the next best moves. But we're going to talk a little bit about the greater MRM out there. Those folks that organize yearly conferences and stuff. Now, for years and years and years, since Earl killed himself, we've been trying to set up an abused men's shelter here. An MRA one, an MRM one. Well, the good news is that I did that back in, May of this year. Somewhere around May or June. Just opened one. I run the only MRA, abused men's shelter. It's only 1 room, but it's here. I've got it. The MRM ain't asking me about it. They're not asking me how I did it. They're keeping that information from other advocates, which I find is kind of weird. So I'm going to ask you folks out there who are listening to do me a favor and ask them why they're not asking me how I'm able to be so effective with just 1 person, whereas these organizations with 5, 10, 20, 30 people aren't able to do what I am able to do. So let's talk a little bit about the shelter. I can offer an abused man fleeing an abusive situation 1 room for 1 month. I can offer a little bit of peer counseling. I can offer a little bit of legal help, rooting out a good lawyer compared to a bad lawyer. I can offer him this wonderful area here to gather their thoughts. They can get a couple paychecks under their belt and move forward if they've got a job. If they ain't got a job, I can probably help them get a job. At least I can try and help them with that. So what I don't know is why those big organizations with all kinds of great writers and reporters who are supposed to be reporting on the news in the MRM aren't reporting on this news or inviting me to talk or anything like that. Oh well, I guess I should just let them have their conferences, that one conference a year. And I think what Project Jeb will do this year is have 20 or so conferences across Southern Ontario. So, how do I figure I'm going to do that? Well, I did a little pondering, a little thinking, a little dangineering. And what's going to happen is that I'm going to create a cart, a rickshaw style cart, that will also have a 7-foot big screen, solar panel. I've already bought the solar panel. What else? It'll have a sound system. And away we go. So while they have, while they invite you to come and spend your money at their conferences talking about men's issues, I'm going to go and talk about men's issues, and I'm going to find that audience. I'm not going to rely on that audience to come to me. I'm going to bring the buffet of men's issues to them to discuss. So they're going to be little mini conferences. I know I'm heading out Guelph way, and there's a reason for that. Reason is because of a man by the name of Boo. I'm only going to use his nickname. So, Boo died last year, August 12th. After his ex cheated on him, a nasty divorce, parental alienation, which led to poor job performance, which led to his suicide on August 12th last year. I known Boo since he was born, across the street from my family. His whole fucking life I knew Boo. I reached out to his family, his brother, who's the same age as me, about 7 months younger than me, and was also born across the street from my family. Starts off his life across the family. I reached out to him, and I said to him, I see red flags over what Boo's going through, and I hope that he, I wanted him to try and drag Boo out of his funk. Unfortunately, that did not happen. The brother was on his way. He was in transit, and Boo decided that on August 12th he'd had enough. I got to look at Boo's diary, and that's how I know about the cheating, the nasty divorce, the parental alienation, and how that affected him. And I also know that that's one of the major reasons why guys are offing themselves. Really caused me to question whether or not I should continue on with Project Jeb. But I did promise his family that I would dedicate this year to Boo. Call it Boo's Run. Project Jeb, Boo's Run. And I'm going to talk about another individual, Derek, who I knew for about 30 years, 25 years. I'm really good friends with his older brother. And Derek died of a drug overdose. Let's call that one a slow suicide. There was something causing Derek enough pain that he wanted to bury that pain with some nasty, nasty drugs. He ended up getting a bad batch, and unfortunately nobody was around with a Narcan kit, and that was it. These are two wonderful young men whose lives were cut short. And to say that these things affected me profoundly would be to put it lightly. So on that note, I'm also going to say that I think I'm going to be doing another smaller walk in November. Project Jeb is going to take on raising awareness about substance abuse. Maybe geez, maybe I might know a substance abuse worker who's willing to work with me out here. She gave me a little bit of insight on how to handle things. Because to be honest with you, it's been a long time since I lost somebody to a drug overdose, and I guess I was kind of lucky, and the numbers just rolled over. Anyways, that's about all I'm going to say for now. However, I think that it is a very good question to ask at those conferences is, why is the greater MRM not inviting this guy who runs the only MRM abuse shelter in Canada, as far as I understand it? As far as I know, I'm the only one. I hear him asking for money, but I hear him talking, but I don't see him doing the walk. Okay, so I've done the walk. Hell, it's what I do. Project Jeb walks all over the place. I think we're closing in on over 1,000 miles. We got to either we're close to 1,000 miles of advocacy done, or we're over. I'll be over this year, anyways. Anyways, folks, take care. Remember, become a Jebi warrior, become a force for good, raise awareness about men's mental health. Call your politician, call them dirty names if you want. It can be fun, it can be therapeutic, but call them and let them know that Canada's sons' mental health is as valuable and needs to be equal to Canada's daughters' mental health. Cheers, folks. Thanks for listening.